So Camp Mystic. They're ignoring history, even when it hits close to home. They're not taking the risk seriously. They're looking to attract new customers without protecting the ones they already have. It's clear they decided to put profits over safety. Welcome to Profit Hawk, where we analyze business achievements and failures. So you might have heard about Camp Mystic. It's a Texas Christian summer camp for girls that experienced massive flash flooding and resulted in the deaths of 27 children and counselors. The campsite and their infrastructure were heavily damaged, with cabins being swept away by the water. On the business side, there's 5 main reasons why this camp failed. Let's dive into that. Number 1, flood zone controversy. The United States Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, marked zones that were at highest risk of flood around the country. Some of them were along the Guadalupe River, where Camp Mystic was located. As you can see on the map here, many of their cabins were in known flood areas. But instead of Camp Mystic taking proactive action to protect themselves, they repeatedly appealed the findings and sought exemptions from FEMA. But why would they do that? Well, think about it. They don't want to spend the money on higher flood insurance premiums, and they don't want to spend the money to move their buildings out of harm's way. They're more interested in saving the money, and they're afraid of regulation. As one article noted, quote, "The appeals were not surprising because communities and property owners have used them successfully to shield specific properties from regulation." Honestly, it's kind of sad because they had advanced knowledge that their buildings were in a danger zone, but they refused to take any proactive steps to prevent a disaster. Number 2, communication breakdown. According to reports, camp counselors weren't allowed to carry cell phones with them, and the camp's public address system wasn't working at the time of the disaster. So the local fire department never even received a call for help. I don't really understand this one, because if you ban your staff from carrying phones, how are they going to receive emergency alerts? How are they going to know to call for help? They're not going to know what's going on out there, and they're not going to know what to do. From a social perspective, yeah, sometimes it's good to put the phone away. But still, your staff needs to be able to communicate. If camp ownership is happy just relying on a public address system to communicate during emergencies, they better be sure the communication system is working. Did they ever test it in a mock disaster scenario? Did they have backup generators ready to go? Did they have sirens installed? Apparently not, because the one time they need it, it's not working. The other sad part about this communications breakdown is that the camp director himself did get emergency alerts for life-threatening flash flooding, but it took him over an hour to take action and start to evacuate campers. Apparently, just 2 days prior, the state of Texas visited the camp to confirm they had disaster plans in place for emergencies. It's unfortunate because this is an obvious breakdown and raises more questions than answers. Number 3, ignoring history. They say those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, and the Guadalupe River has a long history of flooding. In 1932, floods swept away several cabins at the camp and led campers to evacuate by canoe. In 1978, Camp Mystic was the most severely damaged of summer camps affected by floods that year. Counselors had their cars swept into the river by floodwaters. In 1985, the camp director's wife, then pregnant with their child, had to be airlifted from Camp Mystic to a hospital due to the flood. In 1987, 10 kids at a nearby camp were killed by floodwaters during a rushed evacuation. In 1998, flooding along the river killed 12 people and injured over 4,000. In the years since, floods in the area have killed 35 more people. Over the years, local officials thought about adding river gauges or sirens to improve their warning system, but local taxpayers didn't want to spend the money, and the plan stagnated. So Camp Mystic. They're in a known flood zone. They have limited communications, which apparently haven't been tested in disaster scenarios, and they're ignoring history, even when it hits close to home. So what exactly are they doing about it? Number 4, questionable expansion. In case you're unaware, the camp is very popular among the wealthy, with wait lists each summer and parents lining up to spend thousands to send their children to the camp. So it's not surprising that Camp Mystic spent some of that a few years ago on a $5 million construction project to expand their property. So while they're spending all this money to invest back in their business, for some reason, they decided not to touch any of the cabins that were lying in a high-risk flood zone. And in fact, they built 12 additional buildings in a flood zone, which required special approval from the local government. So despite all the history, they're not taking the risk seriously. They're looking to attract new customers without protecting the ones they already have. It's clear they decided to put profits over safety. I thought about this one a lot because it seems like a no-brainer they should make the changes when they had the chance. I came up with 3 reasons why they might not, but I don't think they're very good. Number 1, one of the main draws of the camp is proximity to the water. I think they deliberately kept the cabins in the flood zone because it's their most marketable and scenic location. It's something that looks good on a postcard, and moving them out of harm's way might diminish that appeal. 2, the camp's been around for decades, and its layout is likely full of tradition. Ownership and the longtime staff might resist any change because it feels like they tamper with history. Each cabin has a nickname, and it's got sentimental value tied to its location. And lastly, a thing called organizational inertia. The idea that it's always easier to do nothing than to do something. It's the path of least resistance, and it's easy to maintain the status quo. I don't like any of those explanations, and I hope the business has a better one. Disaster struck, and everybody's playing the blame game, but there is blame to go around, and we need to make sure this doesn't happen again. Number 5, the business-government link. With any business, there's also interaction with the government, and they have some blame too, both at the local and federal level. Remember, local residents resisted paying for a flood warning system, but you get what you pay for. If they're not willing to pay, be prepared for the consequences. A lot of people in Texas are blaming the National Weather Service, a federal agency designed to track the weather and issue warnings. The Weather Service says they're a victim of cuts by the Trump administration. Some National Weather Service offices no longer operate 24/7, and dozens are now missing a meteorologist, including the one in nearby San Antonio. So yeah, there's blame to go around. The business had multiple failures and missed opportunities, and they had a lack of support from local and federal officials. I hope this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, and Camp Mystic finally learns from their mistakes. Nothing will bring those children back, and it's a sad story, but I hope we can learn from this. This is Prophet Hawk. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.